Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, as I have your attention every single day, I'm always trying to find ways of uncovering areas or industries that you don't automatically associate with technology and deliver a few surprises, or that famous phrase, I never thought of that. So today, I've invited Bob Romeo, CEO of Anaqua. And Anaqua is an IP management and innovation software company. And they've got a great story because they were created from the collaboration of intellectual property leaders from Ford Motor Company and British American Tobacco, and has become the first web-based unified platform for intellectual property. So I think there's quite a story here. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to just outside Boston in the US, so we can speak with Bob Romeo right now. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Bob. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Certainly. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Neil. So I am the CEO of Anaqua, and we are a software and services company in the intellectual property management space. We're a global business headquartered in Boston. I've been CEO now coming up on 6 years, and it'll be 6 years in July. And it's been a really great experience for me. I prior to Anaqua, I spent many years with LexisNexis in the US, and prior to that, Thomson Reuters. So I was very much in a very large corporate environment. And coming to Anaqua was a quite different for me. Very much smaller, leaner, faster decision making. So I've really enjoyed my time here so far.
And one of the things that I'm really looking forward to exploring with you is how the worlds of intellectual property and technology have collided. But before we go down that route and find out more information about the great work that you're doing, I've got to ask, can you remember where your love of technology came from and what it was that lit the spark and put you on the path that you're on today?
Well, we have to be careful with the word love because my wife may listen to this. But all kidding aside, I as I said earlier, I spent many years with Thomson Reuters and Lexis, and many of those years were focused in the legal world. And I saw the evolution of information from the originally print and being digitized. And, for instance, I saw what Westlaw and Lexis did to the research in the legal field and, revolutionized the way research was done. And, if you think about that and you think about your own personal lives and, how you do things today versus 20 years ago, it really just all comes together in terms of a business like Anaqua that was created to meet a certain need by practitioners in the IP space, and what the possibilities are. So it's a really nice place to be, actually.
And Anaqua I believe it's the first web-based unified platform for intellectual property. But can you tell me a little bit more about the story behind the company, which I believe was actually created from the collaboration of IP leaders from Ford Motor Company and the British American Tobacco? But can you expand on that story?
Well, sure. As I understand it, and it was a little bit before I joined Anaqua, obviously, there was a need in the market, and the leaders from these organizations didn't see an offering in the market that actually met their needs. So they do what many people did. They, took matters into their own hands and actually created an offering that they felt actually met their needs. But as, and again, not dissimilar to other situations, this isn't really what they did for a living. So they sold, once they had something built, they sold it off to a private equity firm, who then took it to the U.S. and began to invest in it more heavily, to create, the basis for what Anaqua is today. But basically, it was created because there was an unmet need in the market, and people took matters into their own hands.
And here in 2021, I believe that you now turn admin-heavy IP management into business intelligence. And with technology, you're able to provide actionable data and competitive insight to guide the C-level strategy. But can you tell me a little bit more about that and how you do that?
As the product continues to evolve, and the platform is really end to end, from the innovation process right through whether you maintain the asset or you license it. What was clear to us was that more information would drive better decisions. And so back in 2016, we acquired a company called Acclaim. And what Acclaim is a huge database of IP assets, global IP assets. And so what we've done and again, these were ideas that our customers were telling us they needed. So we bought Acclaim, not with the idea that we wanted to be competitive in the search arena or the just purely analytics. What we wanted to do is take that and do something nobody else had done at the time, which is to take that information and embed it at various stages of the workflow, so that we're providing better information. Customers can make better decisions, because now not only do they have access to their own IP information, now they have access to their competitors, because many, once a patent or a trademark is published, it's public information. So we take that information and we now embed it into the workflow, so that our customers have an ability to not only create a faster, more efficient workflow, but now they're also able to make better decisions along that journey as well.
And just to bring to life what we're talking about here, are there any brands that you've worked with that you can talk about, or possibly share a story or use case? Is there anything you can share?
So if I start to name brands, I'm sure I'm going to name somebody that I don't have the ability to.
Sure, yeah.
We do have the ability to talk about certain brands, and others we don't. So I would just say that part of our mission and part of what we've been pushing for. So 6 years ago, we were a U.S. centric corporation, and what we've worked very hard to do over the past 6 years is to become global. So we're a global corporation headquartered in Boston. And when I say global, we have close to 50 people in Japan, and 6 years ago we had none. So we have people in Japan. So Europe, we're very European centric, and also obviously the US. So our brands really are global brands, and what we do better than anyone else is solve their global needs. And what I mean by that, to answer your question, I remember a presentation by one of our largest German clients. And they made a presentation of what their process was before and after implementing Anaqua. And I'll never forget this. One of their slides prior to implementing Anaqua was a photo of a filing cabinet, and how they had kept information in filing cabinets. And not only that, but this is a global corporation. So there was a different filing cabinet in the US, multiple filing cabinets in the US, multiple filing cabinets in Europe, and multiple filing cabinets in Asia. And what we did for them by implementing Anaqua was to have one central repository of all information, one source of truth, if you will. And now all their assets, regardless of where they were created or where they're maintained, are in one single database. And they now have access to that information everyone is dealing with the same information at the same time. Now, you could be in Asia, maybe in Japan, and it's Japanese, or maybe in the U.S. it's English, or in German it's German, but everybody is using the same system, accessing the same information, making decisions in a common set of information, which wasn't done before. And that is a very, very common situation that Anaqua solves better, I believe, better than any of our competition in the market. As I said earlier, we're U.S. headquartered, but we're global. Our people are where our customers are. I remember my first trip to Japan after I had joined Anaqua. We went to see, and I'm not going to mention any names, but we went to see a very large prospect who had just chosen one of our local competitors over Anaqua. And we went to see them and try to understand why they chose, why didn't they choose Anaqua? And the answer was, was quite startling. It was, well, we really like your product. We think your product is much stronger than anything else we've seen, but we don't believe that you are committed to the Japanese market. And why did they say that? Because when we went to sell them Anaqua, we showed up with a bunch of people from Boston, and we had no employees in Japan at the time, just one contractor. And so what we do is solve global needs, but we are local in terms of being able to deal with our customers. So hopefully I'm getting to the essence of your question.
Absolutely. A great story that really brings to life what we're talking about here. And you did mention the global needs of your client base there. And I would imagine that over the last 12 months, those global needs might have changed completely. And I'm curious, are there any trends in the kind of problems that these brands are coming to you and asking for your help with? And how are you helping them turn these challenges into opportunities right now?
Well, a big element of our value proposition is driving an ROI for our customers. So we are a workflow solution, and what we do is drive efficiency into the workflow. So where you some of our customers may be using multiple systems today, and we allow them to use one system. Where they have multiple workflows today, Anaqua provides them an ability to have a single workflow globally. So what we do, and in today's environment with companies looking to drive, more profitability, or to help them with their profitability, Anaqua does drive an ROI for them. So that's one element of it. The other element of it is, quite frankly, one of the things I think we do really well, really well, is we listen to our customers. So some of our customers during this, the past 12 months, in some sectors are doing really well. In other sectors, maybe not so well. And so what our job is to ensure that we listen to our customers and we help them be successful. And whatever that requires, we're open to helping our customers. So in some instances, it's maybe providing them more value through more access to the system. In some cases, it's helping them grow faster because they're doing well, and in other cases, maybe the pandemic has hurt their results, and so we'll work with them to ensure that we're partnering with them through this through the difficult times. So what we do well. We listen to our customers. Our customers are actually very, very involved with our roadmap, our product roadmap, if you will. We've got multiple groups. We've got, local groups. We've got groups that focus on specific elements of the workflow. And then part of our job is to listen to all of that and take it back and create a roadmap that really reflects the needs of our customers. And I'm very, very proud of our people and how they've created that environment and how they continue to maintain it as well.
And despite an economic downturn caused by the pandemic, I also believe that you have enjoyed impressive growth recently, including an acquisition that I was reading about before you came on the show today. But for people listening, can you expand on that too?
So certainly. So we're a SaaS business, and as you go into any given fiscal period, there's a large element of our revenue that's already, whatever term you like to use, backlog, book of business. And so as we went into the pandemic, obviously, there's a huge element of our revenue and profits that were set, if you will, because they were a reflection of prior periods' activity. As we went into the pandemic, obviously, our customers were impacted as well. And really where we saw that was as businesses shut down and people started to work from home, there was a transition. Now, we transitioned as well, but we actually did it quite well because we had always have people working from home. So for us, the transition was not that difficult. But for many of our customers and or our prospects, it was difficult. For the first time, they were working from home, and even trying to do something like contact somebody was a little bit difficult because that transition for them was took time, and it took a while for them to be comfortable in the new environment. So for us, it really involved ensuring that we stay close to our customers and our prospects. And, that's really where a lot of our effort was focused in the past 12 months. And actually, our Q4 of 20 was wonderfully successful for us, where, in maybe some of the other quarters, we struggled with new sales in the fourth quarter of 2020. And that's carried over into the first quarter of 21. We've actually done quite well. And why? Because we're in a very resilient sector. IP is very, very resilient. So in times of great growth and economic boom, IP sector will grow maybe a little bit faster, but it won't have those peaks. And in terms of economic downturn, it won't have the valleys. It's a very, very steady sector. Why? Because IP is such a critical element to a company's value that it always will need and get the right level of resourcing. So IP itself is a great sector, and as a result, Anaqua, has an ability to, grow in times of boom, but also do well in times of downturn. Why? Because our customers will continue to invest in IP. So yes, we did make an acquisition most recently, and we also made an acquisition in the middle of last year as well. And we've got several others that we're working on currently that I can't talk about. But the IP sector is a very, very resilient, as I've said, and lots of activity. And IP is becoming more and more critical elements of a company's value. If you think about a balance sheet and where the value is on that balance sheet, intellectual property plays a very, very large role there. And so Anaqua is positioned very well in the market to continue to help our customers and our prospects take full advantage of the assets that they've created.
And I am intrigued as to how technology and IP and those worlds will collide and continue to collide with so many emerging technologies out there at the moment. But what is your primary focus for the year ahead and beyond?
Well, it's really to work with our customers and our prospects as we exit, the pandemic, the COVID era. And as you know, there are some geographies, jurisdictions that are doing very well coming out of that. And there's some others that are still, in the throes of trying to work their way out of the implications of COVID. So as we think about what we're going to focus on this year, it's making sure that we're listening to our customers and our employees, as we think about, where we will allocate resources, where we need to do things differently, where we need to accelerate, maybe where we need to help our customers still climb out of that COVID era, as well as, obviously innovation never stops. I think you'd find it very interesting to attend one of our product roadmap sessions as we try to determine exactly what we're going to do, when, for whom, and why. We don't customize. We configure, but we don't customize. When we make an enhancement to the product, everybody gets it. What we try to ensure that as we're investing in the offering, that we're investing in areas that our entire customer population can take advantage of. What we try to avoid is one-off types of investments that maybe only one customer could benefit from. And that's part of our story, part of what we do. And so obviously that's a big element of what we'll continue to do this year. Last year, in the middle of last year, we launched a new law firm unit. Anaqua historically has been very corporate centric. And now we brought on, the first thing we did was bring in some new talent that a tremendous law firm experience. And so our expanding in the law firm market globally is a very big initiative for us this year as well. So there are many things that we're doing this year to continue to help us, grow our business, and doing so, by helping our customers be more efficient and effective as well.
Oh man, you've awoken my curiosity now. I need to cash in a favour with a guy that knows a guy to get me in one of those roadmap meetings. But a question that I always like to ask my guests is if there was a particular song that has inspired them in the past, helped them throughout their career in tech, or get their head in the zone before going on stage to deliver a keynote. If I was to ask you that question, is there a particular a song that stands out to you and why?
So let me start off by saying, when I'm about to go out and make a big presentation, probably what I'm not thinking about is a song. Probably what I'm thinking about is don't mess up.
Yeah.
Trip and make a fool out of yourself, and always watch your language. But I have a deep love of music. I always have. I'm not going to try to pick one song, but I love a full range of music, across, many artists. And I really do enjoy it. And it helps me. It does, as you say, it helps, after a long day, maybe, some soothing. As I'm getting ready to start the day, maybe exercising some good, rock and roll, get the blood flowing. So it really depends on obviously your mood, which is not unusual, but full range of, I do love music, always have. And I do find it, a critical component of, my life and how I like to operate as well. But picking a song, I think, would be tough.
Yeah.
Tough to just pick one song.
No problem at all. Before I let you go, can you remind the listeners of where they can find you guys online, and also contact your team if they have any questions at all?
Certainly. So, I think LinkedIn is a wonderful resource to look for not only Anaqua, but people who work for Anaqua. And we're willing to, listen and talk to you if you want to talk to us. Obviously, www.anaqua.com. We have Twitter, LinkedIn, and so there's more than one way to get in touch with us. And if you do, we'd be very happy to talk to you.
Well, one of the things that I always try and do on this Daily Tech podcast is getting people thinking a little bit differently about things that you don't automatically associate with technology, but how tech is completely transforming that particular industry, and how you're leveraging tech to turn admin-heavy IP management into business intelligence and providing actionable data and competitive insights to guide the C-level strategy has completely opened my eyes up on the subject, and I'm sure it will for everyone listening. But more than anything, just a big thank you for sharing your story with me today.
Well, thank you for having me, Neil. It's been a pleasure. And, if there's anything you'd like me to expand on, or your listeners would like to know more about, I'd be very happy to continue the conversation.
What a great story. And I love how they're turning admin-heavy IP management into business intelligence, providing actionable data and competitive insights to guide C-level strategies. And of course, with technology at the heart of it. And when you think of IP management, maybe it's just me, but you don't automatically think, tech industry. So it's another insightful story for me. And hopefully you would have said those words, like I said at the very beginning of the podcast. I never thought of IP like that. So check them out. Let me know what you think. And if you've got any questions around technology and IP management or anything at all, email me now, techblogwriter@outlook.com. Keep those questions coming, pictures to come on the podcast, and we'll do it all again tomorrow. So a big thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.